Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing your job. Well, I've been preparing for this for months now, and you've answered so many of the questions that I was going to ask. So I'm going to be very selfish and ask about something personal that's going on in my life. I'm able to get in the vortex by taking pictures. And because I have things show up in those pictures that I've never seen before. And they call them orbs. I'm getting all kinds of different shapes and colors. And my cat, I started taking him in the house because my cat started chasing things on the walls. And I'm like, oh, he can see something I can't see. So I'd take a picture, and there it would be. I've taken him over my back, and I've done all these crazy things. And you're the only one I know to ask because no one else can answer me. And I just want to know, what are they?
Well, your time is now up.
Oh. No. Please.
Our discussion just now about stepping into the vortex and awakening. So there's a key to this discussion in the notion of awakening, because when you are really in sync with all that you are, then you are interpreting the world that you're perceiving through a fuller lens. So as Esther is translating for all of us here, she receives our block of thought in a vibrational transmission, and then at an unconscious level finds verbal equivalent, a sort of bridging of worlds, so to speak. Esther is an auditory interpreter. In other words, she finds that vibration and interprets it verbally. You are interpreting visually.
Yes.
In other words, you're finding the vibration and translating it through sight. And the reason it's showing up in your pictures is because, you see, the timing of it is important. In the same way that as we're having these discussions, and even those of you who are listening in, who are not sitting in the hot seat, have you felt even today, and as the day goes on you'll feel it more, an idea escalate to the point that now you're right there, you can't help but know it? In other words, we start out on a conversation, there's a question that's offered, we chew on it and we give examples, and little by little you feel yourself opening because you're moving into vibrational alignment with who you are, so that what you then hear makes more sense to you than it ever did before. In other words, we're having that moment of awakening. Esther loves it, Jerry does too, as they're listening back through recordings, because again and again they will hear Abraham and whoever we are discussing with upon a leading edge topic where we have never been before, and the entire audience is right up to speed going into the new place. That's that awakening that we're talking about, but it's also an interpreting of vibration with the fullness of who you are. So the reason we're describing it to you like that is, and the reason that orbs are not necessarily present everywhere, is because there are culminations of ideas that are brighter and therefore more focused. You see what we're getting at? If you're just taking pictures out into the atmosphere or out into a room, there's that energy is always there for you to see, but you've gotten so good at interpreting vibration, you don't even know you're interpreting vibration. Everything you see is a vibrational interpretation. Everything you hear is a vibrational interpretation. In other words, the reason that your physical senses are interpreting vibration into this reality, and your ability to interpret vibration is going beyond what most everybody is doing in terms of interpreting vibration visually. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
It's like, do you see auras as well?
The thing started was, we've got this, and people from the Joplin area will know, it's called the Spook Light. We call it the Spotlight. And it's a place that it's, been on National Geographic and whatever. And there's this beam of light that it will come out and dance around, and people my best friend took me out there. I hadn't been there ever. And we started going out there. And so I thought something was wrong with my eyes because I started getting light showing up in my peripheral vision. And so I just said, let's play with this. And I said, Sherry, there's something right here. I see it. I can see it. And so she took a picture and it showed up in a form.
Well, now you have laid out the perfect basis for a conversation, because the reason that quite often what you see is in your peripheral vision is because it's a diffused focus where you've trained your eyes to see as they see in this physical time-space reality, but you have not trained your peripheral vision to focus. So because it's not trained to see, if you see auras, this may be an environment to see it. Take your glasses off if you're wearing glasses, because glasses cause you to focus to see in this physical time-space reality. And if you take your glasses off, it's more like the diffused focus of the peripheral vision. So look at Esther and look at her as if you were trying to see through her. Pretend that there is a red button on the back of her coat, and if you look right through where her gizzard should be, you'll see and so you're trying to see something beyond where she is. And as you look at her, see if you notice any light around her. Anyone? All right, now just keep looking for that red button on the back of her. And now soften your vision a little more. Don't look so hard. Just look in the vicinity of her. And we'll goose up the energy just a little bit. And even if she moves, part of her still stands. So it's just energy. It's energy that you are seeing because you are awake. In other words, and if you didn't see it, don't worry, it just means you're evil. If you didn't see it, don't worry about it. It only means that you're accustomed to focusing differently.
Yes.
And so the idea of these orbs. Now, what's interesting about the orbs is that it is focused energy. In other words, we focused energy here. Was anyone not seeing it and then seeing it? Or did you always see it and then it just got bigger? That's more what happened. You were already accustomed to seeing it and then it got bigger. So the orb is something that those who are accustomed to seeing energy will see. But it's a concentrated energy. It's a focus.
And it is vibration.
It is vibration, and you could go so far as to say it is consciousness, and you could go so far as to say it is thought energy, and you could go so far as to say it is someone there. It is a conscious being who is projecting deliberately. In other words, we want to sort of soften the idea of it has to be a person talking to me, because we are not a person and we are talking with you.
Yes,
we are
it doesn't
consciousness
feel like a person.
that is focused, and so is that.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. And for those of you who saw that energy, that's how we pick you. In other words, if you have something on your mind, then there is an energy that is visible to us. And if you are in the vibrational vicinity of it, we can see that too. So it's easy for us to know the probability of you getting what you want. If you have a really strong desire and you're really far from understanding it, we could talk all day and it wouldn't help you, and the crowd would not like it. But if you're in the vicinity, things go better. Yes?